Hi, I'm Charlie, and this is Stereo Hysteria. Our April artists of the month, the Gripweeds, are a psychedelic rock and power pop band from Highland Park, New Jersey, formed in 1988 by brothers Kurt and Rick Ryle. Named after Private Gripweed, the character John Lennon plays in the film How I Won the War, the Gripweeds' energetic, melodic, and unabashedly 60s influenced sensibility was present from the beginning, typified by the Ryle brothers' harmony vocals, Rick's jangly and crunchy guitar, and Kurt's Keith Moon-inspired drumming. Their lineup was strengthened and solidified by the addition of Kristen Pinnell, a spectacular lead guitarist, who got married to Kurt around this time. The Gripweeds' debut album, House of Vibes, was released in 1994, and they soon after opened a commercial recording studio, also called the House of Vibes, in Kurt and Kristen's house, whose clients have included fellow New Jersey pop legends and former Stereo Hysteria Artists of the Month, Richard X. Heyman and the Smithereens. Over the years, their consistently excellent albums and live performances have drawn the attention of Steven Van Zandt, who put them into heavy rotation on his SiriusXM channel, Little Steven's Underground Garage, as well as Mark Lindsay of Paul Revere and the Raiders, who asked them to be his backing band. Stereo Hysteria spoke with both Kurt Ryle and Kristen Pinnell Ryle via Zoom from the House of Vibes, where they're currently hard at work on their latest album of original material, due out later this year. And we'll be hearing our conversation over the next 2 hours, along with music from throughout their catalog. We'll start things off with a track from their 2012 live album, Speed of Live, a rousing performance of a song called Every Minute.
Every second glistening in spaces in between, coming into focus, what cannot be seen. Dizzy in the heights until I finally let it go. I rise above the prism and I see it flow. Every minute calling to awake to a sound, behind a space where a movement is found. Show me every day my conception is new, living every moment till the sound is in you. Turning and the cycle is at end. Awesome in the presence of the day begins. Burning an illusion as we rise into the sun. We are in remembrance and will stay in love. Every minute calling to awake to a sound, behind a space where a movement is found. Show me every day my conception is new, living every moment till the sound is in you. Deny limits as they fade into light. Open the door and explode into light. Show me every day my conception is new, living every moment and the sound is in you. It's in you. The sound is in you. The sound is in you.
I think as a teenage Beatle fanatic, just hearing the band's name, the Gripweeds, it seemed like a sort of dog whistle to other hardcore Beatle nerds. Like, come on in, we're probably like-minded people.
That's exactly why we thought of using the name. That was the dog whistle we hope for someone like you to actually get. The thing about the Gripweeds is when we started out, as most bands are when they start, we were a cover band that wanted to have our own identity and wanted to write songs and maybe had one or two. So we kind of didn't want to do this cover band world of like, oh, we're doing the hits of the day, or, you know, we wanted to do stuff that we loved personally. If it was a little obscure, a little unknown, well, then maybe people would think we wrote it. You know, that's where we were. And the Gripweeds was a perfect identity because not too many people knew who Private Gripweed was. And if they did, they'd go, oh, I think I know what those guys are going to, you know, be into.
Yeah.
And if they didn't know it, they'd be like, oh, it's an interesting name. Maybe it's like marijuana, you know, and which is fine if you were into that. Or maybe we're a country band.
Right.
You know, we felt it was a name that we could inhabit if you didn't already know who Private Gripweed was.
Sure. I often like to ask if you grew up in a musical environment, but since you're in a band with your brother to this day, I imagine that there would be a shared musical experience. Very
much. We were a product of a household that had lots of music. My father was very into music, played a little piano. I have some good memories of him playing some classical music that was, you know, pretty good. I always thought he was a very expressive player. And he was a record collector and liked all different kinds of music. So we were exposed to like folk music and classical. He did not like the Beatles. He was not a Beatles fan. But he started like in the 70s and stuff, he started getting into FM radio. So he was really into the Moody Blues and he was getting into Fleetwood Mac and all that stuff. So all these records were all around. But the 60s was a big hole. It just wasn't there. And my brother just started getting into, well, we were into the Beatles. In those days, in the 70s, when we were young, finding that music, Beatle records are everywhere. That was no problem. But finding a Byrds record was like buried treasure. It was like the Holy Grail. Maybe you'd find the best of the Byrds. You could find that. But good luck trying to find like Younger Than Yesterday, you know, or something a little more esoteric.
Fifth Dimension, yeah.
Fifth Dimension, right. If we found that record, we were like, oh my God. You know, in fact, that's what inspired our album Dig. We called it Dig. It's a play on words, right. You know, dig the Gripweeds. But also we had to dig for this music that we loved. And it was like buried treasure to us. And when we found it, you know, wow, we got it. It was that satisfaction, you know, and also it was having something that other people didn't have. No one in my school was listening to the Blues Magoos. No one. And I can't blame them. But that's what I was listening to, and my brother and I. And Rick was playing drums. Got a drum kit when he was about, 9 for Christmas. My parents were very nice. They bought musical instruments, you know, and drums. Yeah. You know, that's a loud instrument.
Definitely.
Especially if you don't play well. It's kind of like, will you stop that? You know?
But I'm sure it beats getting dents on their pots and pans.
Yeah. And I'm not exactly sure. I was really young and I don't really know why Rick got a drum kit, but he got the first drum kit.
Okay.
A few years later, I was learning piano and learning guitar, and I couldn't quite get into the whole lesson thing. I didn't like them teaching me scales and classical music. It didn't connect with my youthful exuberance. But the drum set was there in the basement.
Yeah.
So I'd go down there, and it was hard to resist, you know, to go down and play the drums. It still is. I'm looking right now at my drum kit. Let's see, wait. If you can see it.
Very nice. Slingerlands?
Slingerlands, yeah. And that was actually the parts of the very kit that my brother got. Yeah, so it connects right back to my childhood, to my learning drums.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would go down there instead of going out and play football. I'd go down and play drums. It was so much fun, you know. And before I knew it, I was 13 and I could actually play. So I joined this terrible band. My brother was in a terrible band. And we were in terrible groups for a little while until we realized, well, why don't we play together? He was playing guitar. I had played guitar. And we both played drums. So it was clear that one of us needed to switch. So Rick said, I'll do it. I'll switch. Mm-hmm. And I said, all right, I'm really into the drums. It's an active instrument, fits my personality. So, okay. I kind of thought that we were going to trade off. You know, I'll play drums and I'll play guitar and he'll go back and play drums. Well, it never happened. And decades later, I'm still back there. But I do play guitar and keyboards and I sing. And so I get to do all that stuff. And we make a bit out of it live. You know, we kind of say, I'm stuck back here to play guitar and drums now because they won't let me out.
At least you have somewhere to sit.
Exactly. Yeah. I get the best seat in the house, actually. I'm going to use that for next time. Good one.
Up next, we'll hear an early Gripweed song as remixed back in 2017 for a Fab radio program called This Is Rock and Roll Radio with Dana and Carl. A delightfully birdsy song called Strange Bird.
She turned me away. They don't understand her, they won't even try. She knows what they're saying, but you won't see her cry. A silent observer in a world that's so unkind. She's a real strange bird in her mind. Her unbroken stare seems forever to linger. She plays with her hair, with a nervous finger. How can it be, though it sounds absurd? She talks to me without saying a word. A silent observer in a world that's so unkind. She's a real strange bird in her mind. About this girl, attracts me to a little world. Though I try to get inside, it seems she's got something to hide. Silent observer in a world that's so unkind. She's a real strange bird, strange bird, strange bird of mine.
When was it that you got your first guitar and you started getting serious about learning how to play music?
Well, it was weird because I was kind of obsessed with music since I was like really little, like 3 or 4 years old. And I always wanted to kind of be a drummer, but that didn't happen. I took up flute when I was in school, and then someone handed me a guitar when I was like 12. And I was kind of out of my mind. I used to practice all the time. And I just, it was just something that kept me out of trouble as a teenager. I used to practice all the time and learn off records, and I was in all these little bands and stuff. It was kind of weird because I was like the only girl, but it was kind of fun. So, it's just something I did my whole life. I don't really know why I was so into it. It just happened. I guess I was kind of lucky that I was that passionate about something. I spent a lot of time practicing and trying to learn all different stuff. I mean, I started as a Beatle fan. That's where I started. I think that's where we all started.
Yeah.
And then I got into a lot of British guitar players like Page and Clapton and Beck and like Ryan May and stuff like that. Not like I could ever really play like them, but they had a lot of style and melody in their playing. That's what I really liked.
Yeah.
I'm not like a real wanker. I'm just more of a stylist,
You play for the song.
Exactly. That's what I like to do, you know. I really cut my teeth when I moved to Boston. I had gone to music school there. I went to Berkeley for a while, but I really didn't like it. It was too jazzy. It was too regimented, but Boston had amazing clubs and a really supportive music scene for original music. And you could go out any night of the week and see bands and clubs and stuff. And so I joined an all-girl band there called Good Question. And that's kind of where I cut my teeth. We used to play all the clubs locally, and we would do some little touring around the Northeast, but we played constantly. And we also had a house outside of Boston in Watertown. And we used to write and play. And it was just a really, you know, another family scene kind of where we just made it our life, you know. That was where I really cut my teeth in Boston. And then we decided to move ourselves to New York City for business reasons, management, stuff like that. And we all shared an apartment in Chelsea, New York City, for several years. And one thing led to another, and I started to get into the New York scene. And I eventually left the girl band and started working with a band called The Rooks.
Yes.
And we were on Not Lame Records for a while, put out a bunch of records, and did a lot of shows, worked on a lot of great original stuff. And it was a really fun time being in New York City. And I happened to meet some of the Gripweeds at a Smithereen show.
Okay.
In the Village. And one thing led to another. And we were into the same kind of music. And we started hanging out and supporting each other's bands. And they were working with a guitar player that wasn't too happy with their direction and said, well, I'll help you out. If you want, I'll help you. And they said, well, why don't you join? So I ended up working with the Gripweeds. That's where I've been for many years now, the family band, you know.
From their 1994 debut album, House of Vibes, as remixed in 2007 as House of Vibes Revisited, here is a stellar song called Salad Days.
Coming down to the last time around, but it's you who keeps changing my mind. Lost and found at the speed of sound, thought I'd never make it in time. Salad days don't rain on my parade. Let me feel the sunshine of your shade. Draw me into your room within, with the guise of an unthreatening love. Help me steal from beneath the wheel, and to learn that to give is enough. Salad days don't rain on my parade. Let me feel the sunshine of your shade. The sky has opened up to rain. I suggest you do the same. Letting go
Before she came in, it was our first blueprint as a group was 4 young guys from New Brunswick, New Jersey, with long hair and boots. And we wanted to be the second, I'm not going to say Beatles, but maybe Zombies or the Hollies. We'll be the second Hollies. How about that? Because nobody knows what they look like anyway. And we're playing all their songs.
Right.
But we came to the end of that with the first guitar player in the band. He wanted to go somewhere else and do other music. And we wanted to grow. It was a natural musical thing where Rick and I, in particular, both knew where we wanted to take the band musically. And he didn't want to go there. And I just started dating Kristen not that long before that, maybe a couple of years. And at first I was a little resistant, but she was so good. She was a perfect vibe and great player. And we sort of just let go of this concept of being the next Hollies. It was, let's just be ourselves now and go on with our, musical message.
Yeah. Bringing
her into that band separated us more. It was just a logical thing to do musically. And once she joined, it picked up, all of a sudden the guitar sound was right. The vibe in the room was right. Everything started to click. And that's right when we got picked up by the label in Germany.
Okay.
Right around that time. And we went on tour. Not long after that, we put out the second album and we got picked up by Rainbow Quartz. So things started to move when we made that commitment.
I think I've at least been aware of your music for about 20 years. I got the Rainbow Quartz sampler from 2003 that had We're Not Getting Through, which made a really good first impression.
Oh, man. Okay. That was, I believe that was a remix.
Okay.
Okay. That was from the Sound Is In You album, the second album. Rainbow Quartz put that out as a reissue of our second album. And we went back and remixed it and all that stuff. And it was kind of fun. We were inspired by, at the time, the Beatles were starting to go through their catalog and take the tracks like Sgt. Pepper or something. And this was, I think, it was Yellow Submarine song track time.
Right.
The big deal was like they were going and taking some songs and like, if it was a Sgt. Pepper track, they were able to sync up the 4-track machines, the basic track and the overdubs. And we were inspired to do that for our own record.
Okay.
Because we had recorded that on 8-track. Actually, that was an 8-track album.
And you did a lot of bouncing, I'm guessing?
Yeah, well, we had this technique at that point. We were using one 8-track, but we would fill it up with basic track. And then we would bounce that down to a DAT, a DAT, digital audio tape. And we fly it back on another section of tape and as a stereo mix, submix, and put down all the overdubs. So that's how we were doing that. I mean, that was a little along the way in our studio production story. We started with nothing.
Right.
We started with a little 4-track machine.
Got to start somewhere.
Yeah, we got to start somewhere. And then we wound up, the studio now is pretty well equipped. So, we can do whatever we need to do now, which is nice.
It does seem like a dream scenario.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, it's hardwired in us to be economical. The background of having very few tracks to record on did that for us because it makes you have to really think about what you're doing and work through the overdubs and the things you're putting on the song.
Yeah.
It makes you simplify.
Right.
And simple is always best, it turns out. It really is, So even though we can do way more than the standard band arrangements, that's still in us. It's ingrained. We've only got 4 tracks. How are we going to do this? It's really hard to make a 4-track recording. Hats off to the Beatles. Really hard to do because you really got to plot and plan to get all that information on tape that you want,
Yeah, and sort of leave holes in the arrangement for later.
Exactly. And the trouble is if you bounce things and you lock things in, there's no going back. The only way you go back is to start again, Like nowadays we can go, I really didn't like that drum part. I'm going to recut it. Those days, you couldn't do that. It's locked in.
Right.
You couldn't even get more kick drum if you wanted. It was locked in, stuff like that. That's my reality.
From 1998's The Sound Is In You, as remixed in 2003 for the Rainbow Quartz reissue, here's We're Not Getting Through.
Farther on the road we tried to get up off the ground. We can make it work if we could only lose our doubt. How long can we withstand when nothing goes as planned? We're not getting through. There's a wall between us two. We're not getting through. No matter what we try, we're only getting by, getting by. No one seems to notice what it is that we're about. Now we're getting nervous 'cause the time is running out. The challenge does invite a prize well worth the fight. We're not getting through. There's a wall between us two. We're not getting through. No matter what we try, we're only getting by, getting by. We're not getting through. There's a wall between us two. We're not getting through. No matter what we try, we're only getting by. We're not getting through. We're not getting through. We're not getting through.
We've been in this house since like the 90s. We bought this place and turned it into a studio. This is the House of Vibes. Me and the dog and Kurt and his brother lives here occasionally. This is where we have our studio and we live and rehearse.
That sounds like a great setup.
Yeah, it's kind of the way to do it. You got to like work it into your life, you know? I think we're really lucky to have that as a band and to have developed the skills. It's taken years. I mean, we started it from nothing. We started it was a little tiny room in a rented house, and now it's a booming business. I mean, It's doing amazing, and all that flows back into what we do as a band. We learn from all our label mates. You know, it's like we're all in the same kind of vein of music, which is nice.
Yeah.
It's not all power pop. You know, there's a lot of different things coming through here at times. We've had some really interesting bands record here, but it's a really cool family. The Gem label practically lives here, the bands. They've all come through here recently. All these labels that were Marty Scott, the head of Gem Records, signed. Kurt's been pretty much co-producing and working with Marty to get all these bands working up into all the releases, getting them going. And it's really fun. It's all these different bands. We do shows with them, and they come through the house, and there are a lot of them record here. Some of them just mix, some of them just master their records, or they come in and do parts. But Kurt has a big hand in a lot of their production. And it's been a really busy past year for us, in addition to our own projects, you know?
I've also really enjoyed the Gem Records tribute albums you've been contributing to over the last couple of years.
Yeah, we just finished one a couple weeks ago, the latest one that's going to be out in a couple months.
Can I ask who it's in tribute to?
Yeah, it's Jagger Richards. Jagger Richards. That was a lot of fun. I think it's the best one so far, from all the bands that I've heard.
I look forward to hearing it.
Yeah, and we picked a really weird song to do, which I probably won't say what that is yet, but it came out really cool. Came out very psychedelic.
Okay. I'm hoping for Connection, but...
Oh, you like that song? You like that song?
I'm a big Connection fan, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then I don't think you'll be disappointed.
Living in a commercial studio, are you constantly recording, or do you kind of concentrate your sessions to a specific album project?
It's very cyclical. I mean, we've been doing this for years, and, you have your cycles of when you're working on stuff in the studio. You have your projects that you're trying to focus on and finish. And then we'll go off and do some weekend shows. We stay mostly around here, go up to New York or Boston or New Jersey these days. But for the band themselves, I mean, we use the studio, we take it on a project basis. Like I said, we just finished the Gem release. Before that, we were working on a soundtrack for a documentary that's coming out on a really cool 60s club. They wanted us to do the music for a film about the Electric Circus. That was a club back in the late 60s, early 70s. It was kind of like a multimedia, musical, kind of crazy, psychedelic walk-in experience, Kind of like the Sphere, but back in the 60s. So that has yet to come out. We were doing that. That was real fun. But yeah, we go in there and we work on that. We come up with the arrangements, record. And meanwhile, the studio is still operating, working with other bands too. But we were working on that the end of last year. And then we did a re-release of our Christmas record. Jem put out a vinyl release of our Christmas music that we recorded in 2012, I think. But we remixed it and we did a big deluxe package and all this stuff. And so all this stuff is going on, in between, and then squeezing in the other bands, and we're going in and they're going in. So there's always something going on. Like right now, Kurt is teaching a vocal lesson as we speak.
Okay.
So, it's neat.
No rest.
Yeah, I'm always tired. I'm always tired.
From the 2021 tribute album, Gem Records celebrates Brian Wilson. Here is the Gripweeds rendition of the Beach Boys classic, You're So Good to Me.
You're kinda small and you're such a doll. I'm glad you're mine. You're so good to me. How come you are? You take my hand and you understand when I get in a bad mood. You're so good to me, and I love it, love it. You're my baby.
I've learned so much from, like I said, every band that's walked in has something to teach, but in particular, the Smithereens were a huge example for us, role models.
Yeah, they loom large.
They loom large. Well, Jim Babjack, the guitar player, is a good friend, and he had a store in New Brunswick where Rick and I went to school, Rutgers. Well, that's how we found out about the Smithereens and Jim.
Okay.
The Smithereens were just starting to hit. And so we're kind of watching right from ringside, of what was happening with them. As we were forming a band that Jim Babjack sort of helped us get together, we're watching the Smithereens kind of climb their ladder and going, we could do that, and here's how. We're watching them do it.
Yeah.
And imagine me, like, I guess 20 years later or however long it was later, I'm working with Pat, Denizio, and the guys, and they're looking to me, to help them with the records. That was like, wow, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'll never forget this. It was like we were working on a Pat solo album. We had a bunch of songs down. He goes, I like to listen to, let's hear the roughs. So I'm like, all right, I'll listen to the roughs. We're sitting there. I'm watching him listen to the music. And he's sitting there, and he's got a different perspective now. He's not the artist. He's sitting back and going, how is this hitting me? And how might it hit a listener who has no idea of what this music is? And he starts going through the song going, that intro is way too long. We got to cut right there. Take that out. The end, we don't need a hard ending, cold ending. Just fade that. It's not interesting enough. And I was stunned to watch this guy cut to ribbons his own music. And I realized it's that perspective that you really need.
Yeah.
Unless you're making the music only for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
If you're making the music for yourself, who cares except you? But if you want other people to play it and get interested in what you're doing and have it really connect on the radio, well, then it has to be as powerful as possible. You've got to take all the dead spots out. You got to make it compelling from start to finish. And now even more so, because people are just going to go, next. And you're done. Just like that, So you better be good. It's like your elevator pitch, they used to call it. Remember that?
Right.
You got 10 seconds, make it good. And that's kind of what it is. Get in there, do it, because otherwise your shot at your message is gone. I learned that from Pat, among many other things.
Originally on the band's third album, 2001's Summer of a Thousand Years, and recorded live at the House of Vibes for a 2012 DVD release called Live Vibes, here's a song called Love's Lost on You.
Look into your
Yeah, it seems like in New Jersey there are a ton of old school rock cool people, and I guess one of the highest profile advocates for the Gripweeds has been Little Steven Van Zandt.
Yeah, right.
How many coolest songs in the world have you had so far?
It's got to be over a dozen.
That's a lot of cool songs.
I mean, he I think the first one was Every Minute, and that was in 2004 or 3, right when the station started.
Mm.
It's been pretty much when we had something out, he would put on.
Little Steven's Underground Garage has been like an incredible supporter of our music and the gem artists.
Definitely.
So we have their ear, which is really great. And they've done a lot. They've really supported us. And thank God, Little Steven, my God, what he's done for rock and roll. God bless him.
We almost signed with him to Wicked Cool, and we didn't. Actually, I'll tell you. I get the call one day on the cell phone. Like, hey, it's Steven. Like, oh, hey, how are you doing? And he's like, I got an idea for you. Did you ever think about coming out front and getting another drummer? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. You know, drums, I kind of like it. And I think we'd be hard pressed to find somebody that plays like me. Mm. And it's a little bit of a hook for us. Yeah, it is a problem. I'm always in the back of the band. You know, I'm stuck back there all the time. But I'll think about it. You know, we thought about it. And the other guys were like, absolutely not. Like, no. And that was kind of the deal breaker on signing with the label.
Okay.
And we ultimately decided not to. You know, they wouldn't have it. And it would have really changed the vibe of the band very much, you know, at the core.
Right.
So we wound up not doing that. Some days I regret it.
I would imagine that it's a specific set of muscles to be able to do like the aerobics of playing the drums and also to project your voice and to stay in tune and to, you know, remember the lyrics and all of that.
It's doing a lot. Yeah. And then add guitar to that. That's the other thing I do now. Like we do a few songs in a more acoustic mode live. I play acoustic, but yet I'm still playing drums. I'm playing kick and a little tambourine, hi-hat, and I'm singing.
Yeah.
So I just don't know how. I really don't. But I can tell you that drumming and singing, I've been doing it since I was about 18. And it's a coordination that makes sense to me. Mm. Also, I don't play drum fills over where I'm singing.
Okay.
I'm playing drum fills in the holes.
Mm. Yeah.
And the added benefit is that the air that you're talking about, there's a lot more of it because you're doing something very aerobic. Yeah. So yeah, you can really sing out, you know?
Right.
I found it a little bit easier in a way to really belt it out from the drums.
Yeah, you can control the dynamic of the band.
Yeah, you're kind of in the power seat. Most people don't realize as the drummer, you actually are kind of running the band. You know, you're setting the tempo, you're starting the song, cutting them down. You're directing the whole thing from back there. I like that position. It feels natural to do that. And then singing on top of that. It makes sense to me, but it is not easy. Maybe it would be nice to be just out front with nothing else to do. Boy, that's a luxury. I wouldn't know what to do with my hands.
That's what tambourines and shakers are for.
Actually, when I first started doing that with Jim Babjack in Buzzed Meg, Jim was the first studio client that we took on at House of Vibes. He was the very first. That was earlier. He was making demos for the 11 album.
Okay.
I don't think any of these songs made it on the album, but he did about maybe 5 songs. And it was really, really basic demos. Yeah. We didn't really know what we were doing, but we did. But he didn't care. I mean, it was just a good vibe and we were friends.
Yeah.
But years later, it was the point where the Smithereens had a lull. I think Pat was running for Senate, maybe, and he was doing a solo album. So the band was on a hiatus.
Okay.
So Jim decided he was going to make his own band for a while. So he asked me. He said, I want to bring Dennis in. He goes, I'd like to work with Dennis and Mike and you. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. That's the Smithereens with me instead of Pat. Right. To be honest with you, I was deathly afraid of that. You know, like, can you imagine standing in front of the Smithereens?
Right.
And me at that point, that's before Little Steven asked me to sing. I had never come out front, really, and without an instrument, just sung. I'd never done it. I always had the protection of the drum in front of me, the protection, and the crutch. So that was a significant step up. And I said, well, yeah, but maybe it'll be more of its own thing if one of the Smithereens doesn't do it. Like, how about not Mike? I've got a good friend, Vince Grogan, who we've been working with a little bit here and there, and he's in another band that records here. You might want to try him out. So Jim was okay with that. We did that, and that gave me more confidence. That whole gig on guitar, I was playing acoustic and singing, and not playing acoustic and singing. But I got to really work on that, and that was a real good thing. So when Little Steven asked me to do it, it wasn't like I would have been a complete fish out of water, but I wasn't interested in doing that for the Gripweeds.
Yeah.
But it was great for Buzz Meg. I did really enjoy it.
I think that the 4-piece lineup of Gripweeds there's something very visually arresting about it.
I found that when we have done a few gigs on occasion where we bring in a keyboard player, and it always crowded the sound.
Okay.
Maybe it was before we knew what we were doing well enough to know that you lay out, maybe don't play as much. Not me personally on drums, but the other guys. But it always felt like it crowded when you had that fifth person, or it was like, oh, it's a little bit too much, unless you lay out or really know how to find the holes and come up when your time comes and then go back down.
Yeah.
But we weren't too savvy with that, so the 4-piece seemed to be better for us.
From the 2020 reissue of the band's fourth album, 2004's Giant on the Beach, here's the radio edit of a song called Astral Man.
I
whole thing, honestly, has been a building progression. It hasn't been, we went from 0 to 100. It's always been this building, and we've had to work for every step. We had to figure out how to record. We had to figure out how to play as a band. We had to figure out how to write songs. We had to figure out how to sing, figure out how to play together, how to record ourselves effectively, and on and on. And it's just been a constant learning, picking up skills.
Yeah.
I really kind of hope that that's something that keeps going, because I enjoy the process of learning and growing. And at the point where I go up, I'm done. No, I don't think I want to be there. I'd rather be striving.
Yeah.
You know?
Another aspect of the way the band works that I think is kind of unique is that you all have a lot of duties in the band that are like extra musical. I was reading on the House of Vibes website that you do the accounting for the band. And, Rick has a law background and he does the legal stuff, and Kurt does the graphic design. So it's an operation where everyone's doing a lot of different tasks as opposed to just being a band playing music.
Well, that's just it, is that unfortunately you can't just be doing the music all the time. And in fact, I have to sit down and work on the band's taxes tonight, which really sucks, but that's what you have to do. And like you said, Rick has a law degree. He handles our contracts and he goes through them. And Kurt's an amazing graphic artist, and he and I are both photographers. We've taken a lot of the pictures for the albums, and we do have the label that obviously has distribution, but we also try to sell a lot of things off our website that are unique. To bring people to the website, we'll create these deluxe packages that can only be bought at gripweeds.com. And that's something we have to create and put together. And we have our shipping department, you know, there's all kinds of stuff like that. And not to mention maintaining the studio, which Kurt pretty much does that, but we always help him and we're always working with him. But he has a mechanical engineering background. So he can fix it. He can do stuff like that, because you have to be able to handle a lot of stuff in a studio. You know, there's always equipment issues, and we're always, you know, when we play live, our live shows are complicated. Even though we're not playing stadiums, they're complicated. We have a lot of keyboards and flutes and different guitars and acoustic guitars and percussion drums, and everybody's singing. You know, there's a lot involved in being able to understand and get it all to work and look easy. It's not. But yeah, we kind of realized we had to be do-it-yourself many years ago. That kind of far off image you have of like someone taking control and doing everything in your career. It's nice. We have Marty Scott from Gem who does a lot for us and he helps us out a lot, but there's still things that you can always do, promotion, and I make videos. I do video editing, whatever you got to do, you know, to try and squeeze in there and get the band out there on social media. And it's a lot. There's a lot of different things, but everybody kind of helps out.
We didn't realize what we were doing, but we were building this DIY ethic that if you're a musician now, unless you've got a supporter or somebody who's got some money, that's what you have to do. And the thing is, you must be willing to accept the learning curve. And it's pretty steep. Our first records were not very good, you know, and we went into studios and we sucked there too. And we started to finally figure things out a little bit. And the studio has been an incredible aid to our growth because we opened it up to other people. What that's done for us that I would suspect a lot of other musicians don't have, who are DIY musicians sitting in their bedrooms. They don't have that contact with other people that know stuff. And if you're smart, you sit back and you pay attention is what you do. And you soak it up. All these bands would come in with, I get to be the fifth member of every band. And they have their own way of working, you know, and they're like, oh, we do this. And I can't even say specifically what it is, but each band has its own vibe and their own way of doing things. Yeah. And their own approach to music. And I'm the fifth guy. So I have to sort of absorb that. And there are a lot of times that I will pick something up that's really cool and go and file that away for, I'm going to try that on our thing. and vice versa. I'll bring a lot of techniques to their music, a lot of ideas as a producer. I'll say, try this and, end the song this way or that way, or things that I picked up.
Yeah.
And I'll pass on to them.
Here's a highlight from the Gripweeds' 2010 double album, Strange Change Machine, called Be Here Now.
If you could hear me now, maybe then I'd reach you. Be here now. Be here now. Don't waste another minute of today. You look without seeing and you're judging but not thinking. Be here now. Be here now. And leave your expectations to regret. So lose the past. You move too fast. It's not too late to love. The past is gone. What lies beyond is anybody's guess. So be here now. Be here now. Be here now. Be here So lose the past. You move too fast. It's not too late to love. Past is gone. What lies beyond is anybody's guess. So be here. If you could hear me now, maybe then I'd reach you. Be here now. Be here now. Don't waste another minute. Be here now. Be here now. Be here now. Be here now. Be here
The band has always had a very distinct image. Just looking at pictures of the band, it looks like you're all wearing, really cool mod clothes. Like all of your instruments are cool old Gibsons and Rickenbackers and Slingerlands. Your haircuts are always great.
We just like that stuff. Yeah, we just like it,
Yeah, it feels comfortable and natural. It's not like you're playing dress up or cosplaying. It just kind of looks like, oh, it's a band from the late 60s who somehow got transported into the present day.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that because I've seen bands where I'm looking at them going, you're trying to be 60, you're trying to look a certain way. That's just what our closet's filled with anyway. And, our guitar collections and thank God we all have hair. So we all have a lot of hair. Yeah, the Gripweeds have a lot of hair. That's for sure. Yeah, it's cool to have an image and a vibe. I like that about the band. I like that.
It seemed like you do sort of cultivate a kind of retro vibe, but it doesn't seem like you're stuck in the past. Like your lyrics are definitely from the perspective of a band in the 21st century.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. You're right. And that pretty much is what we had hoped when we started the group. Our mission statement when we started out was, we love this music of the 60s and we'll be the modern 80s equivalent of the Standells from 1966. We're going to be that in 1980, whatever, That's what our vibe was. But it was always, we are in this time. We like that music, but we want to use sort of that as a launching point for our own thing now. Using those set of influences, which are pretty wide, actually.
Yeah.
As far as musical influences go, you could do a whole lot worse. I think our net is a lot wider now. There's a lot more music that we like.
Yeah.
You know, we like music from the 70s. I actually listen to modern music too. And believe it or not, I'll be inspired by all kinds of different stuff that'll make me want to write another song or play a certain way. You know, so things have definitely opened up, but we do have an aesthetic that we like that is from that time. It was such great music that came out of there. And the bands had an identity. You know, they had a look. And I like that. I mean, because the idea of going up on stage and playing in cut-off shorts and a tank top, I would never do, you know, just because I feel you need to be a little larger than life.
Right.
You need to be a show. You're putting on a show. You have to separate from the audience to some degree. Not that you're better. It's that you're the entertainment.
Right.
It's good if you come across that you really care about it.
Right.
We've had this sort of collective identity for a long period of time, and we're just lucky to still be able to pull it off.
I just have to know where you get your suit jackets.
England. England. Oh, it's funny because when Dave DeSantis, our bass player, he was the last to join. I saw him or met him in another band that was working in the studio, and I had a sense. First of all, he walked in with a Rickenbacker.
That's a good sign.
And the way he played it was like, oh my God, this guy's a monster. And he kind of looks like one of us, but he doesn't know it yet. And I kind of filed him away like, well, if we ever need anybody, he's the first call, no doubt. And literally a month later, I called him because our bass player quit.
Okay.
Mike Kelly, who's on the Christmas record, he left the band like in January, right after the album.
Okay.
I called Dave, and it was a transformative audition because we thought the band might have been over at that point. We didn't know because it was always tough in the past getting a bass player. We'd had before Dave 7 bass players.
So we're like Spinal Tap and drummers.
Yeah, we blew them up. We blew them out. A few years go by. Well, I got to go, man. You know, kept on happening. Why? But it was always like something not quite right, you know, something good, but that guy was not quite, you know, it's almost like the Beatles in a way, you know, like close, but something that was preventing us from being an absolute cohesive unit. That's just seemed to be what was happening. And Dave came in and has since provided that cohesion, and he loves jackets. And boots, you know, and Rickenbackers.
The finer things in life.
Yeah, I mean, how much better does it get? And he was available. And at the time, he wasn't even on the internet much. So it's like, this guy's perfect. And he shows up on time, and he knows his parts. Wow. And before that, no offense to any other Gripweeds bass player, but we'd have to tell him, you know, we're kind of looking for this aesthetic in this song, this sound. You know, a kind of McCartney-ish bass part, maybe, or Entwistle. Not that we're always going for that, but
yeah, it helps to have the same reference points.
Yeah, and sometimes we kind of get a blank look, you know, like, huh, you know. And then I'd do demos. I'd play a bass part to suggest what I was looking for, you know, just kind of some sort of guidance. And we have stopped, for the most part, having to do that with Dave because the parts he creates are right within the circle of our sound.
Okay.
You know, he's got the right aesthetic. He's really into like bands like The Jam, Weller and The Jam and all that. And of course, all the 60s stuff.
Yeah.
So he's bringing that to the music. And so it's very much a tight unit.
From a November 2015 performance, released on DVD as Force of Nature, live in NYC, here's a song that showcases the band's instrumental prowess, called Speed of Life.
Going through the
I think it's interesting that you use the term power pop to describe the Gripweeds, because like a fair amount of musicians I've interviewed for the show could well be described as power pop. But I think there's often like a type of resentment of the label, like it's too limiting a description.
Yeah, it gets a bad rap because it sounds kind of wimpy. Mm-hmm. But, if you see Paul Collins or you see the Smithereens or you see Richard X. Heyman or us, we definitely have a lot of power behind what we're doing. It's not just, there's a lot of melody and power, there's a lot of musicality and musicianship and there's an edge. We have something that's like, it's not aggressive, but I don't know. Power pop, I guess people think it's wimpy or whatever. I mean, I don't call us power pop, but a lot of people do. We have some real melodic stuff for sure, Yeah.
I would say song like Strange Bird or Rainbow Quartz, they have that kind of jangly, harmony-rich power pop sound. But then other stuff like How I Won the War, like all the parts on that song are just so complex, it's almost like prog rock or something.
Yes, because we're all big fans of prog rock too. We're big fans of prog rock and folk and, acoustic music and classical. I mean, I studied classical, I studied jazz. Then I tried to forget everything I learned, and just play. I think there's a lot behind the Gripweeds music, a lot of different influences, and you hear them, That's what I think, that we have the extra added element. And because there's so many musicians and singers in the band, it can go different ways. It's not like all one singer and it's not all like one sound. We're working on a new record right now and there's some different sounding stuff in there. Some sounds just like our influences, twisted with our style, but there's different directions, not the same as before. Like you mentioned How I Won the War. That has a lot of aggressive songs on it. I think we were angry. I think we were all like pissed off or something. I don't remember.
Named after the Dick Lester directed film that gave the band its name, here's the title track of their 2015 album, How I Won the War.
Hearts and minds, enemy lines.
I would think there was one major change that happened in the band when we started working with Mark Linsday from Paul Revere and the Raiders.
I started working with him right around the time of 9/11. Mark was doing the show at this garage rock festival called Cave Stomp in New York. It was right after 9/11, right after, maybe weeks after 9/11. Somebody was putting together a band. They said, oh, let's get Clem Burke from Blondie. And no, Clem can't make it. His wife won't let him fly. All right, how about Dennis Dykett? Dennis is busy that night. Sorry. Magically, I was number 3 on the list. I don't know how I got there, but they called me. So I'm like, yeah, I'll play with Mark Linsday. It's like no brainer. It was great. The thing about working with Mark the first time meeting him was it felt like I already knew him. It was like a friend of mine who was 25 years old. That's what it felt like with Mark. He was almost a 60-year-old guy, but to me, he had the spirit of a 20-something, someone who was enthusiastic and just interested in a good vibe. So we really, really connected and got along. A few years after that, we did the Christmas album, and we were inviting guests on it because we thought it would be more fun and holiday record. We just put this thing out again the end of the season. Kristen and I had written this song, and we thought, oh, who can we get to sing this? How about Mark Linsday?
Yeah.
Magically, he said yes. So he came in and did the vocal, and he was like, oh, I kind of like the sound. I like the studio. I'll do some work here. Let's do a project. So we came in, did a project, did another one, and then did another one. And all this time, he's like imparting all his wisdom of, back when we were in Columbia Studios, CBS in Los Angeles, we did this cool technique on the backing vocals where we would put the echo on the right side, the vocal on the other side, and we double track here, put all the echo on. And like, oh, that's how you got that sound. And he showed me exactly how. And we did that. I was like, wow, this guy walked amongst our heroes on Sunset Strip in 1967. It really doesn't get much cooler than that.
Yeah.
So we totally connected in the studio. And then he asked us to be his backup band. That was a whole other level of intensity.
From their 2011 holiday album, Under the Influence of Christmas, as remixed for a reissue on Gem Records last year, and featuring Mark Linsday on lead vocals, this is Santa Make Me Good.
Santa Claus, make me good at Christmas time. Santa Claus, make me good at Christmas time. Take the blame, yeah, I might have strayed, made a few mistakes in my time, but I've changed, now I got my list. Santa, please, I wish you'd oblige. Santa Claus, make me good at Christmas time. Santa Claus, make me good at Christmas time. Play it, Santa. Come on, Santa Claus. All year long, really had my way. I was always breaking the rules. Santa Claus, bring your sack and sleigh, and on Christmas Day I'll be true. Yeah, it's Christmas time once again. Ho, ho, ho. It's been a really good year, Santa. I had my fun. I got my kicks, if you know what I mean. But I guess now it's time to settle up. So what you gonna do, Santa? I could really do with some holiday cheer. Hey, are those sleigh bells I hear? And reindeer? You're not gonna pass me Santa. Oh, come on, man. Come on down my chimney, make me good. Santa Claus, make me good at Christmas time. 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 Go ahead, come down my chimney. Yeah.
We asked him to do a bit on one of our Christmas songs, and we became friends with him, and he started to come to our studio, and he was working on some of his music here. And then he asked us to work as his backup band, and it like sent us into a different level of professionalism. And plus he was such a great producer himself. People probably don't even realize how much he did in the studio for Paul Revere and the Raiders. I never even really knew, but he taught us a lot. We learned a lot about singing and about being professional on stage and making an exciting live show, you know, creating dynamics live and just a way to get the audience in and just watching him, you know, and learning from him. And one of those things was we needed a keyboard player, and Rick had always, he played keyboards, but kind of dabbled. So we're like, you are going to play keyboards now, you know? And he really like stepped up to it. And it was great because we always wanted him to do that live. We always wanted to have that option to have keyboards live, not to mention, you know, we use them on the records all the time, but to have it live was great. So now whenever we do shows, he plays guitar and he plays keyboards, and it really adds a nice dimension.
Rick originally, when we started the Gripweeds, was playing a Farfisa organ.
Okay.
And he was playing guitar, and then he would switch off and play Farfisa for the Blues Magoo songs we were doing. And other stuff, zombies and whatever. It's just such a cool instrument.
Right.
We still have it. We use it on albums.
Nice.
And then for a while, Rick got tired of putting the organ together.
Okay.
And having to play in a 5-minute window.
Yeah.
You know, you guys are on and hit it. And Rick's down underneath the organ, still putting it together. He's like, God, I'm not doing this anymore. So he switched to just play guitar. So he did that for the longest time, where he didn't play keyboards until we started working with Mark Linsday. I said to Rick, you know, you play keyboards. Can you do double duty? Because Mark wants to keep this small.
Yeah.
It would be better if it was Mark backed by the Gripweeds and not an extra guy. Mm-hmm. So Rick said, yeah, I'll give it a shot. So he did. And now we play all our gigs with Rick on keyboards and guitar again. So it worked out. Great. And I do agree with you. I like the self-contained aspect of our group and what we do. I like that everybody does something. It's interesting.
Another thing you mentioned was I do sing some leads. I never wanted to be a singer. I never focused on it. But when I got in the band, we were doing harmonies and I had to learn how to sing. And actually, Mark helped us learn how to sing too. He gave us a lot of instruction about, you know, we figured out like his techniques, how he did things and stuff we just never knew. I never knew. And you learn it because I never took chorus. I never practiced vocals. I never did any of that. I was a musician, a guitar player and a flautist, and I never focused on my vocals, but we learned a lot. And I do sing some leads and I do have a nice voice, but I don't feel like it's like, I really like playing guitar. That's what I really like doing.
Yeah.
Even though singing is great, you know, I do like to do it. And our harmony work is difficult. It's not easy. You know, we really work on that stuff you hear on the records.
Yeah.
There's a lot of vocals, and Kurt is kind of like our Brian Wilson. He's a real taskmaster. It's like, he really knows, you know, he's producing the vocals, it's getting everything right. And it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard, you know? I always felt like I wanted to be a vocalist, but I need to put more effort and practice into it and really focus on it. You know, it's not something that I naturally feel that comfortable doing, but I do it. But I do it.
And I would say that, you know, songs like Reality Stands Still, you know, I think that that's definitely a highlight because it does have, you know, a different feel from the songs that Rick and Kurt are singing. Yeah,
that was interesting because Kurt had been working on that song and we decided I should sing it. So I had to write, like, he had some of the melody and some of the words, but I had to make it mine. I had to write words and I had to make melodies that I felt comfortable singing. So we had to blend each other's ideas. And that's not, you know, I had to figure out, it's lots of drums, big wall of sound. Mm-hmm. But I think that came out really great as far as putting the melody and the drama over the wall. Because, like, the Gripweeds are like a friggin' freight train. Trying to sing over the Gripweeds live, it's really crazy. Because Kurt's a big drummer. He's a big drummer. So.
Yeah. From the 2018 album Trip Around the Sun, this is Reality Stands Still.
right now, we're working on the next Gripweeds record that we hope will connect. You just never know. It's always, I'm not going to say it's always the same, but I will say the challenge is always there of how do you get what I hear here to the record?
Yeah.
That translation, that's the trick, you know? And in the process of that translation is the band, for one thing, not just me. But the first step is I'll think up the song. And I usually get like a whole song. Unfortunately, lyrics are always a problem, but that always seems to come when I can get them. But I usually get a vibe for the whole thing. I get a sound.
Yeah.
The very first step is pick up the guitar. Okay, I'm singing this song. I'm usually out running. I jog, and I'll think up a song, get the whole thing in my head. And before I forget it, I sing it into my phone. First thing, no guitar, no nothing. Just get it. So I've got the as pure as possible, because there's still a translation when you actually take the thought and sing it.
Yeah.
That's translation number one. Now, then what's the key? All right. Is it a guitar chord? Is it A, E, or is it a flat? You know, and I got to find the chords.
Right.
And hopefully I've thought enough that it's going to work on guitar. Sometimes I'll think in A, E, D, G. I'll see the chords or hear them.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an A. So I'll get that piece. It's all about trying to get that translation as clear as possible, because, and this comes from previous experience, there'll be times when you're trying to translate and get it down and you start going, well, maybe I should try this chord there. Maybe I should go to the G and, you know, this would be better. And before you know it, it's gone.
Right.
You know, it's something else.
Yeah.
Which could be great too. But if you can get that translation where it's really like you've got it down quick, that's usually the purest form. And then from there, it's, all right, what are the drums going to do? What's the bass going to do? How is this going to be sung? You know, what voice do I use? Is it a screamer? Is it a soft song? Who's going to sing it? What harmonies? What type of song is this? That's even before you start getting into the structure of the song. What's the intro? Is there a guitar riff? What's going to keep the song moving all the way through so that it really, as we said before, there's no fat in there. It connects, you know, and it's always the dilemma. It's like a puzzle. It's so much like a puzzle. You're looking for those pieces and you're kind of searching and hoping that along the way, some bit of inspiration falls out. You know, it just happens like, wow, what chord did you play there? You know, that happens so much with Kristen in the studio. I was like, what did you just play out? That lick. Use that lick. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, we've got something that's really cool. And you're always looking for those accidental things, you know, and then hopefully you get it right. A song like Vibrations. Do you know that song?
Oh, yeah.
We had problems with that because something about it was too long.
Okay.
Something wasn't working right with the original mix that we did. So we played it for Marty Scott, the Gem Records label head. And he was saying that he's like, there's something not right here. The song was like a dream to me in a way, because I wrote it on a run, came back to the perfect scenario. I had a lot of the lyrics. I had the feel. I knew what I wanted to do. Everything fell together great, except there was a problem with the arrangement. So Marty said, maybe you could take out this or that. And I was like, I don't know. And I wound up playing the song for Mark Lindsay. And he loved it. He just loved the song. He goes, but there's something wrong with it. I said, yeah, I know. What? He goes, well, I'm on tour. And he happened to have a stop in New Brunswick, next town over. So he said, why don't you come on down, you know, catch the show and we'll work on it. See if we can work this out. So I brought my phone with me and I think I brought a notepad. We played the song a bunch of times. He said, you know, you don't need that second repeat of the chorus and you got a little breakdown. You need to do something a little more interesting there. And he had all these little ideas. I went back to the studio, edited, and it worked. He was right. He was right. You know, so when you get that perspective from somebody that's made #1 records, you know, or top 10, they know something.
Right.
That's the perspective that I want. Maybe not all the time, but I want it when I need it.
Yeah.
Or when we need it.
Yeah.
That was really, really good that he stepped in.
From 2018's Trip Around the Sun, here's the finished version of Vibrations.
I can feel the rhythm of a sunny day. I can hear the grass growing where you play. It's all about you. Put up my antenna and I see the sound. Don't take much to comprehend what's going round. It's all about you. You don't have to tell me how you feel. I feel the vibrations. You don't have to say your love is real. I feel the vibrations. I feel the Picking up the airwaves of a moving cloud, burning up the sun when it gets too loud. It's all because of you. Swamp by a tsunami in a forest green. I get hypnotized by the sight unseen. It's all because of you. You don't have to tell me how you feel. I feel the vibrations. I feel the vibrations. I can feel the rhythm of a sunny day. I can hear the grass growing when you play. It's all about you. You don't have to say your love is real. I feel the vibrations. I feel the vibrations.
So it's a learning experience. And now that I've had that experience, we're taking a little bit more of a sharper pencil to our songs to start and kind of trying to chop through them a little bit and get a little bit of the self-indulgence out,
Okay.
and make them strong. It really is that. It's try to make the song as clear as it can be so that the listener can absorb it easily, not have to work to do it. If there's a problem with the arrangement or if the sound isn't good, let's say the recording is just not a really well produced song, that's a barrier to the music being absorbed.
Yeah.
The listener's got to overcome that. And you're going to hope that the listener will think or look beyond the shortcomings of the quality and hear something good. That's what we're doing right now is just, we've got a whole pile of songs and we're just trying to finish them and find a way to make them really compelling. And that's a lot of fun. I enjoy that,
Fun and hard work.
It definitely is, but it is a lot of fun. What else would I be doing? I'm going to watch TV. I'll do that later.
Right. It'll still be there.
It'll still be there. The funny thing is when you do this and you start creatively working with a song and grappling with it, it spurs you on. It's like any creative thing. All of a sudden you start going, oh man, I got it. All of a sudden it opens up.
Yeah.
That channel starts to open because you took that time and you're not in front of the TV, you're creating, it brings about more creativity. During the pandemic, we had intended to record an original record. We had songs for that.
Okay.
I should say we had the start of the original album. And the way the band has always worked is contact. Like Rick comes to the studio, Dave comes to the studio, and we work on the songs. Try this, try that. No, that doesn't sound good. Do this instead, and instantly speeds things up.
Yeah.
As good as modern technology is, and yes, you can share files back and forth. What you can't do is say in the moment, change that sound, try that differently. You're playing that note too hard.
Right.
Or whatever it is. You don't have that one-on-one in the moment ability when you're sharing files.
Yeah.
Right. We felt that we were working on new material. We needed to work the songs on a very visceral level. And we didn't feel comfortable like instantly with the pandemic. It's like, well, we're not going to see Rick or Dave in months.
Yeah.
How are we going to make an album this way? So we'd always had these cover songs around, and there was a thought to make a record. We just thought, let's try recording the covers now because we know them.
Right.
And it's not like it's our song.
Yeah.
It's somebody else's song. There's a little bit of, a buffer there that it's not like it's my song. Felt a little more comfortable, doing some things long distance. And the pandemic did ease up. So we had Dave in the studio and we were wearing masks.
Right.
We brought Rick in, and Rick did some stuff at home and came in and did stuff. And, so we were able to work together, it turned out. But by that time, we had already committed to doing the Dig album. And that was its own snowball of, let's do this song, let's do that song. How about this song? As you make a record, that's what happens. It starts to pick up steam.
Dig was so well received. It's still right now. It's like people are always buying Dig. They love that record, and we're always like, "Oh, covers record." But it was like we really were able to capture something in those songs that the original artist didn't. Not that we're not taking credit for anything because we didn't write them or anything, but they were definitely like we were able to pull out things that maybe got lost in kind of poor recording situations or quick recording situations that. We were able to like really focus on the certain parts of the songs that we could bring real drama to and make them real cool,
Yeah. I'm thinking of the a cappella breakdown in Lady Friend is just so cool. It sounds like it took a lot of time to do.
What's interesting is that was the very first song that we recorded for Dig. And I was kind of like, it was during COVID. That's when we did Dig. So Kurt and I were kind of stuck here doing a lot. And I was doing all the 12 strings on that song. And I mean, I love the Byrds so much. I was amazed at how that song came out. I was so happy. And the vocals just kind of blow me away.
Yeah.
That whole vocal breakdown. But that was one of our first songs. And it was really fun for me to do all that 12 string stuff. I just love the Byrds. I was like, oh, this is great.
From 2021's Dig, here's the Gripweeds version of a song David Crosby wrote for the Byrds, called Lady Friend.
Here it comes again, it's going to happen to me. Here it comes, I should have learned to duck. She's going to say
This is a very interesting record that we're making. It was originally going to be some older songs that we were going to pick up and put the album out, put together quickly. But there's some pressures to make the best album we can make. It's always that way. There'd been time in between that we started writing new material. New material was more exciting than some of the older stuff that we were thinking of going with. So we're getting this hybrid now of some older songs and some brand new songs sitting side by side. And it's all getting sort of put through this prism or lens of what we learned when we did Dig, working on those old songs, making them new. And that's become a little bit of a blueprint, for what we're doing with our new album. We're applying that sort of sensibility to our songs now.
That sounds awesome.
Hope so. For lucky, keep your fingers crossed.
I will. I'm looking forward to hearing it.
Yeah, me too.
We have a couple that are done. Even last night, we were working on some basics for a new track down in the studio. And we're definitely focused on getting an original record out mid-year. We're really focused on that now. We got through the projects that we needed to get to, and we are definitely got a few songs done, and we're looking for mid-year release, hopefully.
Awesome.
So, we're just trying to focus on it, get it done. It takes a lot. It takes so much, it really does.
Yeah.
It takes an immense amount of work. It's original stuff, so got to figure it all out,
As with vibrations, when it's good, you'll know it.
We'll know it. When the vibrations are right, we'll know. And not every song has the same journey. Some songs actually get done much quicker, but some tracks are problem tracks, or they take a circuitous route to get to where they got to go. And that's the truth with songwriting too. A song of mine that I really like is After the Sunrise. We do that song at every show because it's a nice, quieter song that I play on guitar from the drums. I wrote that song in 20 minutes. I had the whole thing except the lyrics. And it took me a year to write the lyrics. I couldn't get them. And then one day they finally clicked. I finally got it all together. It took a while, but it was worth it. Then from there, it was just the inspiration and, in the recording, there was a blueprint. We knew what we wanted to do. There was a sound that we were going for, and it was clear. That's the compass. That's how we guide the ship. It's like this magical blueprint of this recording. Hopefully it gets you to where you want to go.
Another highlight from 2018's trip around the sun, here is the aforementioned After the Sunrise.
What do you do when hope is gone? What do you say to love gone wrong? Where do you go so you belong? Maybe you just start walking, looking for blue skies, watching the sunrise, blow away bad vibes after the sunrise. When all the chips are falling down, and what you've lost cannot be found.
I would say our approach has been a little different on this album compared to going back, especially the early albums, where the early albums pretty much once you did something, that's it.
Mhm.
You know, it's good enough, move on. You know, we're working the songs now. And, you know, I'll take that drum part I did in 2020, the start of the pandemic, and go, you know, I can do it a little bit better.
Mhm.
Or I could sing that vocal a little bit better. I think I've got a different approach.
Mhm.
We would have never thought to do that back in those days. Just wouldn't have. So we're applying a different yardstick or measure to our music right now. And I don't know how it's going to turn out, but I think it's going to be really good. You know, but we have that luxury where if we don't like it, if it's not really not going to sound, all right, tear it down, start again, you know? So these songs will be great when they're done.
Well, I think there has been a really high standard pretty much in any category on your records. Like, it's great songwriting, it's great musicianship, it's great production. It's clear that you work really hard on these things, and can't wait to hear the next one.
Yeah, well, that in and of itself is the pressure. It's like I've heard writers, actors say, you know, you don't want to pour water in your beer. You know, we don't want to dilute what we do.
Mhm.
So there is a little bit of pressure because we know that people will hear this album. It's not our first album. This is album number 8 or 9. It depends on how you count. But there is precedent now. So we're building on something. We prefer to build up rather than, you know, they put out a lousy album this time. Well, yeah, shit. Oops. Rather it not be that. But it's tricky, you know, just because you can work so much, but you don't want to smother the child, you know, the newborn. You don't want to smother it. You got to let it grow. You know, you got to let it breathe. So there's a lot of tightrope walking you need to do when you make a record.
You referred to the Gripweeds as a family band, and I kind of wanted to ask about having such close-knit relations within the band. Because obviously there are a lot of horror stories about like siblings and married couples in bands, and how a lot of times like interpersonal tension can cross over. But it seems like the Gripweeds have a pretty harmonious relationship with each other. Do you think that familial closeness makes it harder or easier to be a band?
Well, it gives it a certain underlying strength. It's not always easy, and it's not always harmonious by no means, but we've had to work out issues over the years. But, you know, ultimately working together for so long creates such a really cool thing. We have a great studio. We have a great living situation. And when we play together, it's just one of those things. It's amazing to be able to play with people that you have that kind of like, you know, unspoken thing. You could just work with each other and you have such history. It's just an amazing experience. I'm really lucky, but it's not easy and it's not all harmonious. I mean, we fight worse than anybody probably because we're related, you know?
Right. You can tell each other what you really feel.
Exactly. But we can't leave. We can't leave unless it's in a pine box. That's what we always said. So no, it gets crazy sometimes, but we all kind of give each other creative space. I mean, we've worked with each other for so long. We know everything about each other, you know, and we know how to like let people take control or like if something's really important creatively to somebody, you know, let them take the lead. Everybody brings a lot of different things. I mean, there's a lot of multi-instrumentalists and there's a lot of, you know, we can sing harmony but that's just because we've been doing it. We've been working at it for so long. And it's really nice because we have been together. We can do these things kind of effortlessly. We know how things work.
Just to sum up, the band is in a really good place. And musically on the record, everybody is trying to make the best record. Sometimes we've had situations in the band where some of us wanted to make a different album and there would be a little bit of a push-pull. And this one, we seem to all want to be doing the same thing. And there's a little more flexibility on part of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I can probably be the biggest offender of being inflexible about things, but I'm more flexible now. I'm trying to hear what my bandmates have to offer that I don't know about.
Right.
You know? And that's not what I wrote or what I thought of.
Yeah.
I'm trying to hear what they think of specifically. So let's see how it works out.
And that's all the time we have for our salute to the Gripweeds. I'd like to thank Kurt and Kristen for sharing their time and insight. For more information about the band, point your browser to gripweeds.com or follow them on social media to keep up to date with news about their forthcoming album. Be sure to tune in again next week when our topic will be over songs. This is Charlie, signing off.